back. Finally, we're back in the down and back. Had to take a little bit of a break. Had picked up COVID there back December the 17th. It's had me out of commission till now. The whole family, the whole household here was down. We were out. Other family, my mom's she's still in the hospital doing some stuff, so I'm still trying to do that and trying to get stuff for the show and getting back at Cornhole. Finally got to throw my first bags in since December the 13th. Last weekend there, finally back up at the Octane Garage. Had some fun getting some bags there, and I still got it. I've still got the 65. That's all. That's all that's mattered. So there's been a few things happen here in the Cornhole world. The ACL Pros. We had the ACL Pro Canada Pro Qualifier back in December there. Berny Portolesi. You'll hear from him later on in the show here. Get to talk with him. Winning the Pro Qualifier. It's a guy he just started playing out, so I'll get to hear more about him. We talked all about what all went on with that there. So it's a little later on. So he's a great guy. You get to know him. We didn't get a chance to talk about it in this little talk that we had. We will be talking about it again. But Brendan Greba, if you're out there, Titan bags, sign this guy up. All he does is throw Titan Venoms. That's all he does. Throws and throws and throws. That's all he throws. And he's made a couple trips over to Buffalo before we went into our latest lockdown, getting like a top 4 spot over in Buffalo. So and some pretty tough competition. So Brendan, if you're watching, get in touch with Bernie because he's one of the first international pros. You want to get him. So check him out. But yeah, so the whole ACL International Pros stuff went on, and so there's a bunch of Canadians, a bunch of people that there's some great throwers there, but some names that if you remember back with the when the ACL had their Pro-Am virtual tournament, their international tournament, you've seen a lot of names there. Like names on the list, like Carl Sligers, he was in that there. There's Renee Schindler's there, David Parody's there, Matthew Revolt from France. You got to see him in that tournament. Ivar Ignielsen, he was in that there tournament as well too. So that's another name that not new to the ACL virtual world or some of the international players. Not some guys that are great there as well too. Bruno Bokier, he's there. I'm probably butchering some names here. I apologize. We will get you in here to know exactly what's all going on. The last European guy that's on the list, you've seen him here on the show. Kalle Akesson on there, another great guy. I want to try and get him back on the show. I know he was supposed to go to that event in Myrtle Beach there on New Year's Eve, but with the whole COVID stuff, wasn't able to make it. Then the rest of the international pros are all Canadian pros. So you probably already got to see a couple of them. Dean Lang and Mike Nesreluk, Moondog, so much easier. Got to play it out of Myrtle Beach there. Talk about that in a bit. So there's there. Rick Wiersma, the Dundas Valley Cornhole Club. Brandon Brown, you've seen him. Heard me talk about him. I think probably he's going to be one of the top Canadian guys, right? So Brandon's there. Brandon's wife Tracy DeCoste, she's going to be out there playing the women's stuff. So throwing that out there. I know she had some good rounds in the virtual tournament to be able to qualify for the pro. Jamie Cowan, JC Cornhole, jccornhole.com, right there. It says it right there. He is a pro, and he's no stranger to that international pro stage. He's already had that time on ESPN where him and Scott Sullivan took on Adam Hisner, Cody Henderson back in Prince of Prussia, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia, or wherever they were in 2019. whatever. Berny Portolesi. Gonna be talking to him later on. He's one of the ACL pros. Then last, not least, guy who his daughter's been on the show. He hasn't been on the video part. He's been on an audio part. Steve Pohl, one of the great players from here. So that's, and I kind of talked a bit with my guest. I haven't even said who the guest is going to be. Big name guest. Got to talk a bit about the guest, how of the Canadian pros, 4 of them got their start here with KW. And, and Dean's now moved on, but we've got some, just saying that we can solidify. And there's so many names that aren't on this list that I think you will see on this list in the near future, because I know Scott Sullivan's taking a break. He's not on the list. In Newfoundland, you got Graham Kavanagh, you've got Dion Kuza, you got Albert Parsons, the list can go on out there. List can go on. Then you look to the western part of Ontario here, and you got the Jay Goffs, the Derek Freemans if he gets it going again, and there's so many other great throwers that we even got to see at the conference tournament. Corey Ewart out of the St. Thomas. There's so many great players here that are getting podium finishes here in their first big tournaments or whatever, and I think it's going to be nothing but up from a lot of these guys. So it's Cornhole's got a bright future here in Canada, and I can't say enough. And and I talk about my guest coming up here soon. We've got a couple guys. I know Dean Lang is down. I got to see him. He was playing against Danny Seals on Facebook Live. I think they did a best of 7 there. So he's down in Kentucky getting ready for the Open this weekend. Brandon Brown, Tracy DeCoste are down there as well too. So they're going down there to see how they're stacking up against the people in Kentucky. And yeah, it's pick an easy Open to go to at first in Kentucky. Then I know Brandon and Tracy are heading west to Vegas. I think from what I've heard, Dean is going to head south and go to Florida to plan some stuff, and then meeting them in Vegas. Meeting Brandon and Tracy in Vegas is Berny Portolesi and Mr. Jamie Cowan. And I think we might have a little special thing with the down and back with Jamie Cowan, because he'll be meeting up with a former guest to reenact something that you've already seen on the show. It was very short. It didn't take long. Hopefully this next one will take longer. More on that later on in some further upcoming episodes. But yeah, trying to get through. There's been so much stuff going on. So we had our conference tournament back in December in Niagara. You've probably seen on some of the social media posts there. Probably one of our first times we had a really big female division. Tracy DeCoste took that down. I believe, if I can remember correctly, with the COVID brain, she carried the lawn. Really big battle with Tracy, but Tracy coming out on top. And then just, Karen was actually, for one of her first big tournaments like that there on a big stage, she did fantastic. Her and Holly Moulton from the Canadian girls play cornhole. They finished second in the intermediate division to the father and son duo of Brian and Keaton McLeod. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. The comparative doubles was taken down by Corey Ewart and his partner. That name, the COVID break. I should have this stuff all with me. I don't have it all with me. It is all on the KW Cornhole Facebook page. Had it all on there. Check out KW Cornhole on here on YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio show, over on YouTube, and you can be able to see some audio. We did. I think I did 10 hours of listening to me talk, calling cornhole games with my partner of the day, Brad Billard, the cornhole. I can't call him the cornhole chef because he's a barbecue guy. He doesn't want to be called a chef. He's the cornhole barbecue guy. We had some fun talking with there, and just be able to see. So there's just some great players that played. So as that, go over and check that out. Give them some views. Give them a like. Give them a subscribe. Like you should be doing with this show. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and you'll be able to know when all these down and backs, now that I'm back here talking, you back. I don't know if you want to hear me talk, but yeah. So if you're a returning person, I know I'm kind of going through some stuff, but hey, it is what it is. I'm coming back, excited to get back into this talking because I haven't talked much in like over a month, and the people upstairs here in the Cornhole dungeon, they're tired of me talking to them about Cornhole. They want me talking to other people about Cornhole. So I guess that's kind of what's been going on, and kind of like the quick little thing. I know I'll talk about it later on. You'll hear me talk about the end of the show, the Canada Australia head-to-head battle, country to country, 8 versus 8 battle with that there. I know I talked about with the guest. I even said who the guest was. Well, you would have known if you're watching YouTube or clicking on the link. But appearance number 7, I think it's 7. Appearance number 7 for the guy who was the influence of starting off this show, Trey Ryder, back on talking about some stuff, talking about Myrtle Beach. And I'll lay off any talk on Myrtle Beach. You'll hear it for when I talk with Trey. But yeah, Trey come back on and talk some stuff that's kind of happened here in the past week. So we'll talk about that. And yeah, so before we get into that, I haven't given the sponsors a plug in a long time. So, as always, Octane Cornhole, octanecornhole.com, getting all of your bag needs, all of your jerseys, your shirts. I've even heard he's got socks. You can get Octane socks. You can be like, I know PJ Sorrow down in Texas is going to have a pair of Octane socks, if that's for sure. Discount code CornDoug gets you 10% off any bags you need. Any of the bags you need. You got the brand new. The ignitions have come out since my last show. You got the ignitions. You got the kinetics. You can get the energy bags. The carpet type material. Octane's got a carpet type material bag. The energy bag. The Turbo SSs. The Apex SSs. Just some great bags. If I'm gonna tell you to get a bag, I'm gonna tell you to get the Turbo SS. I love throwing the Turbo SS. Unfortunately, I think my bags have been stolen. You might see them in Vegas. Jamie Cowan says he's going to be using them in Vegas. So look for them there. That, and then JC Cornhole. I've got to go this way. jccornhole.com for all you need boards. You go to JC Cornhole. You want a JC Cornhole shirt? You go to jccornhole.com. Jamie's got everything there for you. Anything you need. Then also, if you don't want to throw Octane bags, that's fine. Because if you're here in Canada, remember, Canada only Canada. CSCcornhole.com, Canadian Cornhole Supply. Oh, sorry, it's been a while. Cornhole Supplies Canada will get you your local bags, your fire bag, any of the new fire bags. I think I've seen some assaults up at the shop. You got your local, your fire, your all cornhole bags, because even though you say stuff, whatever, I've seen you still throwing them. All cornhole, you get your all slides, you got your game changers there. Anything you want, let them know. They will try and get it in. Yeah, that's the cornhole sponsors. Then while you're playing cornhole, what do you want to do? You want to listen to earbuds. You want those music in. So you go to myearfun.com. Discount code CornDoug gets you 20% off of earbuds. Or, you know it, say it with me, Bluetooth waterproof speaker. I said it good there. And then if you're in the Alberta area, Edmonton, Sherwood Park, to be exact, check out Darren over at Sierra Property Inspections. He will do you right. He will let you know where you should be storing your cornhole boards, what you should be doing in it, and telling you what you need to have done to your house. He does a lot of stuff, and I've seen a couple things. If you go over and give his page a like on Facebook, because I've seen some stuff where if you're getting work done, more portion out there is going to a children's cancer hospice in the Edmonton area, which near and dear to his heart, which is why it's called Sierra Property Inspections. But yeah, it's a great guy with a great company, and no one is saying anything bad about Darren over there in Alberta. So check him out. Like I said, just even if you just give him a like, give him some love over there, and help him out with that. So I think I've rambled on. The COVID's taken the chest, and here is my talk with Mr. Trey Ryder. And like I promised, coming back here out of my personal COVID break, I have the man, the myth, the legend, probably one of my favorite guests, the answer to my 300 subscriber contest, Mr. Trey Ryder. Trey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back. What number is this? Is this 4? Is this 5?
For you coming on is actually number 7.
Oh my goodness, 7!
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Well,
love that.
we have to keep you really ahead of pitcher, right? Because I know that he wants to come back on and talk, so we got to keep you. And he is not coming on. I'll promise you that. He's not going to be making the surprise entrance. But how are things going? You've been busy. I think you're about to really kind of ramp it up here.
Yeah, off season was good. It was kind of a busy off season, more so just trying to put everything in place. So it was busy in the aspect of there's a lot of planning and a lot of things kind of building up to getting the season started. And now we're almost in a position where it's time to get busy on the execution side. So there's a lot of things that we have planned, a lot of things that we have to do in order to get to where we want to be. And we have a lot of events, first of which is coming up in a few weeks. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's going to be a fun year. Really excited. I mean, the years just keep getting bigger and better every time we have and start a new year. So excited for that. But yeah, busy season is approaching.
Well, and talking about busy stuff, and we kind of talked about off here. It seems the last couple of times you've come on, stuff has dropped the day that we're recording, and unfortunately, we're losing one of the longtime players in Sean Short. But then we are getting, and we've talked off here about this other guy. I think we're both probably kind of excited to have Mr. Trevor Brooks back in the pro ranks.
Yeah. So Sean Short has some things going on. He just has to bow out, and we respect and appreciate that decision, that transparency and honesty on his front. And then you look towards trying to find someone to promote in his place, and so. A lot of discussions and very polarizing figure. A lot of back and forth on the decision whether or not to bring him back, and it was a pretty split decision, to be honest with you. A lot of people just didn't think he was ready. Definitely not from a skill level, but from a personality and all that that comes with Trevor Brooks. And so in the end, I think we're ready to see what Trevor can do. Trevor's certainly a polarizing figure, but every sport needs polarizing figures. And the question for Trevor is can he find a way to balance the energy that he can provide, his fire? Can he balance that with still being a professional athlete? Because you can still be a villain and be a professional all at the same time. And there's a fine line there. And I think that's something that Trevor wants to become and wants to continue to embrace, is because he certainly can be an exciting person to watch. People are excited that he's coming back. And so we'll see. And then he's also going to win, right? I mean, part of what we remember is him. The reason why we remember him is because not only was he a fiery figure, but he was a fiery figure when he made it to the main stage. And so, I think he's going to end up playing with Jay Dotson this year, who is Sean Short's partner. So that's going to be a fun team. I mean, you get Jay Dotson, who in itself can be a little bit of a trash talker, some high energy, and you pair that with Trevor Brooks, and all of a sudden it becomes a very interesting team to watch. So ultimately, I think I'm excited, a little nervous, but excited to see Trevor play this year.
Well, and most people, when they see Trevor Brooks or think Trevor Brooks, they think of all the videos that have been put out of him just kind of with that high energy. My first thought of Trevor Brooks was when I'll go back to, because I don't do it enough, go back to 2018 in Rock Hill. I was sitting across the court from you on a crew cup match. Jamie Graham, Trevor Brooks on one end, Dotson and Short on the other end. So they were partnered up. And Trevor trying to get the best of Jordan Kamba. blowing in his ear, just trying to get Jordan off his game. I'm like, dude, he's like 3 times the size of you. Like, like what are you doing? So there's that there. So fast forward then to very early the next morning, my partner Corey Goldbeck, we were checking out for he was going to be playing singles, and I was telling him, hey, because Corey went back to the hotel early, I was like, late last night, Trevor Brooks is doing this here with Jordan Kamba, trying to get him off, and Corey kind of gives me that look that that he's right behind me, isn't he? And of course, Trevor was standing right, like just right over my shoulder. I do the slow turn, and he's sitting there, dark sunglasses, because it's only a couple hours since he'd just been throwing. And then there's just that grin, that Trevor Brooks kind of, I know you're talking about me kind of grin, right? And that's, for me, that's what I was like, just the way he acted, like on the board. Maybe I like the villain guy, I don't know, but it's just, I'm excited to have him back.
Yeah, he's gonna be fun to watch. See if he can kind of balance that out, develop some rivalries, and make it a really interesting broadcast at some point. But yeah, time will tell.
So then we've had a few opens now in the books here. I'm not going to say some real big surprises, but there has been some surprises with the singles ranks. With we heard a lot about Alex Hicks coming in, and then to see him in that marathon match against Matt Guy, and then even that I don't want to call him the other Rawls brother, but Alan Rawls, then taking one down himself.
Yeah, it's been a year so far of different talent emerging. I think we finally see the emergence of Cheyenne Renner to the extent that which she can be and how excellent she can be. That's exciting to watch. So I'm hoping she can just continue that. Like you said, Alan Rawls, the other Rawls brother, as you kind of coined him, he came out of nowhere.
Yep.
There are not many times I'm completely blindsided, right? Even Noah Almanza, when he won, don't get me wrong, it was surprising, but kind of the writing in a way was on the wall. He had just come off an open where he finished near the top of his bracket, but statistically he was one of the top performers in the entire bracket and the entire tournament, I mean. So when you go back and look at Almanza, you can almost say, I'm surprised that he ended up winning an open, but at the same time, I was blown away. I wasn't blown away because I knew he had that level of skill. So, but someone like an Alan Rawls, I never saw coming at all. I mean, he just kept winning and winning and winning, and I just kept saying, how? So, and we've seen a lot of the Alex Hicks. I think is an incredible player. I just want to see him maintain that level of success, right? Mm-hmm. So many times we see someone peak and then valley a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know what to get from Alex Hicks this year. So many people want him to be the best player in the world. That'd be really cool. But he's got to continue to do that in a high level in order to get to that level. So, and then Matt Guy, someone that's always been around and just continues to play at a high level. And now I would argue he's playing some of the best cornhole he's ever played, and he's doing it now. And we've talked about this in the Around the ACL. It almost feels as if, based on the way he's playing, you could flip a coin in all the finals matches that he's played. And right now he's got, 4 heads in a row when he called tails. So eventually that coin is going to start flipping the other way, and that's going to be bad news for everybody else. So
exactly.
So ultimately this year, really excited to watch some rookies play. You got people like Alex Hicks. You got Tanner Halbert, Josh Holland, the Rawls. I mean, like I said, Alex Hicks. I mean, you got a ton of these top rookie talents coming into the division for the first time. I would argue it's the deepest. I don't know if it's the best top talent. It's hard to argue when Matt Guy, Brett Guy, and Eric Davis all come in the same rookie class last year. But ultimately, I'll argue, and even had Tony Smith in that last year as well. Ultimately, I think I'll argue that this year could be deeper, and who knows if at the top level it's even better. So it's going to be an exciting year.
Well, it seems like every year, like of course you're gonna have the new players come in, but it's just that changing of the guard. It's almost like it's I just find like the cornhole just keeps getting better and better, and you're just seeing some crazy stuff.
Yeah, no, and the new shots that are emerging. I mean, the bag manipulation that people are able to have nowadays is just so different, even than just 2 years ago. I mean, we're coming up on just 18 months outside of Noah Wooten against Jamie Graham at the 2020 Final Chase, and that was the first time on a main stage we saw someone utilize any type of flop or roll shot, and that was mind blowing. That was like earth-shattering, record-breaking. I mean, all those big superlative adjectives that you can think of, that was it. And now 18 months later, it's common, right? I mean, we almost expect that roll shot as part of the game. It just shows you how fast the game has evolved, and it's really paving the way for players that have this great bag manipulation. But then at the same time, you have people like Cheyenne Renner and Matt Guy, arguably the two of the best players in the world right now. They don't have any of that. They slide the bag up the center, throw an airmail when they need to, push a bag in if they need to. I mean, that's just it. So I think that's what makes our game so special and beautiful, is that we'll have players that at the top level can win any given tournament with a variety of different playing styles, which is really cool.
Exactly. And so I know we do have a couple of Canadians. I know Brandon Brown, Dean Lang, and Tracy DeCosta are going to be down in Kentucky here this weekend, which – sure, pick an easy tournament to go to for your first one down in Kentucky, right?
Yeah, they definitely didn't pick it. The thing that's going to be different about the Kentucky Open compared to the others is that regardless of the pros that show up, Kentucky is going to have a higher density of players that are really, really good that are not professionals. So combine that with the fact that you're still going to get all of the powerhouse Kentucky players. It's not going to be easy to win.
Yeah, and and we did get to see Dean on the WCO. I think was kind of, well, he played for Team WCO, but just and some people up here were kind of a little upset with what all went on there. But I'm thinking, you know what? It was an exhibition. They were there for fun, and I kind of said it on another show, and kind of said it to myself, is that, you know what, for people up here in Canada. And our world, when we watch the World Juniors in hockey or anything in hockey, when Canada is up playing against who cares a stand, and they're doing like between the legs passes and whatever, beating them 23-0 and still going top corner, we're all happy. So it's just, you know what, it was great cornhole, and I think I know Frank, and everyone else knows Frank. It's like it was having fun, and I think that's where we just need to strive to be that good, right? So I think
that was one of those situations where it was someone, all of us caught up in having fun and kind of not really thinking about how it could affect somebody else and bother somebody else. And that's not an excuse. I mean, things happen, and you can put your hand up and say, I screwed up there, we screwed up there, whatever. And certainly that could be not the best way to handle it. I can tell you that it wasn't out of anything malice related. I thought Mike did exactly what he needed to do in that situation, right? I mean, exactly, I think that's what's great about the entire situation is Mike scored, right? So I mean, and he threw a 4-bagger having to do it, which is incredible. And I think Canada as a whole, I mean, right now is probably the second best country in the world right now in cornhole, and I think that's pretty impressive. And I think it's not going to take long for some of our Canadian players to get up to that point. And I'm really excited to see ACL Canada and how it grows, because I'm telling you, it's not going to take long. I mean, 2 years from now, you're going to have Canadian pros that are legitimately vying for world championships, and all they need is experience, right? Mm-hmm. Dean Lang, the best thing that he could have done was play in a situation like that. He held his own. Yes, Ryan Windsor won big, but at the same time, I felt like he held his own at certain points, and that's what you need to do, because that first time you can't expect to go up against Ryan Windsor, you never having any broadcast experience, against Ryan Windsor, who's played on that stage 20 times, and expect to have the same level of success because he's comfortable up there, right? Dean has to gain that experience, and just like everybody else. So really, really excited. I mean, that first event, I thought it was a lot of fun. Rightfully so. Some of the Canadians were a little nervous, right? Just trying to trying to see if they could compete. But at the same time, it's, have some fun with it, and there's going to be plenty of opportunities in the future to really see who the best of the best is and compete for some high stakes stuff.
Well, even with Mike, and Mike knows I have issues with his last name, so he's just Moondog. But even for him, what people probably don't know is he's had to play left-handed for the last little bit because he had a broken right hand. So he's coming off a broken throwing arm kind of hand. So, for how good he did, that's saying something.
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive. That's impressive. So yeah, I thought everybody that played showed that they could compete, and really excited for this international pro program that we have now to see some of those players and play in some of our national events. I mean, it's gonna be really high stakes, but it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the day. I can't wait for the day, honestly, when the USA Olympic team plays against the Canadian Olympic team, and and people are flipping coins. So you got some people saying Canada's going to win, some people get United States will win, and Doug, you and I can debate all day long on a podcast about who will win. That's what I'm waiting for, is 5 years down the road when everybody's even Steven. That'll be exciting.
Oh, for sure, and then like the pro season is ramping up in Vegas with the kickoff battle, and I know that there'll be 4 Canadians at that one. Brandon Brown and Tracy DeCoste will be going from Kentucky over to Vegas, and then you've got, and people will be able to see it coming up after we talk with you. I'll be having a more get to know more with I call him Bernie the Boss Portolesi, who was able to win our kind of live qualifier up here, and he just, for a guy who had just played his first actual tournament the month before the qualifier, for him, like he beat Brandon Brown, he gave Dean Lang a great shot, and then ran the table against some other top players. So he's going to be in Vegas, as well as a guy you've seen before, Jamie Cowan, who had the chance to play against Adam Hisner and Cody Henderson on ESPN with you calling the game. So, with Jamie's experience down there, I want to see how he's going to be doing in Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. That's what an experience is, what it's going to take, because then the experience trickles over into ACL Canada, and that's what spreads out there, and that's what. That experience and just knowing what it takes to compete at that level. I mean, it's to me, it's almost like when we expand in any of the different regions in this country, right? I mean, 2 years ago, the state of Texas was good. They had a high volume of players, but it wasn't a high volume of elite players. Now, I mean, shoot, you can't go to a regional without getting your butt kicked in Texas. I mean, even other states, even the northeast part of the United States, even a state like Arizona or even California. California, you think, is huge, but it didn't have that big of a player base a few years ago, and now it's just exploded, and now it's our biggest membership base. I mean, it's impossible to dominate a state like California, and so that's what it's ultimately going to become. It's when a few people get experience, and then you identify them as your leaders. And once your leaders start taking off and they start really playing well, they become these role models for people that want to get better and better. And people want to go against Dean Lang. And all of a sudden now Dean Lang is winning everything. But then there's that one person that's kind of challenging him a little bit. And then there's another person that's winning every now and then. And that's just how it ultimately grows. And before you know it, you have a full-fledged division of just incredible players that are competing at these ACL and national events, and not just seeing if they can win a game, but they're competing for bracket titles, and they're competing for the chance to become a champion.
Well, exactly. And the thing I love about it is that we do have our 6 pros here from Canada, but there's names that are left out, like Scott Sullivan isn't one. And I know there's Dion Kuza, who's in Newfoundland, who no one has actually got to see play live or play against any of the better players. So there's just so many other names that are out there that are just kind of sitting waiting, which which makes me happy up here, because because for so long we were just kind of concentrated in the KW area. here, right, with us for
Yep.
the first couple of years, and that shows with 4 of the 6 Canadians, or actually, no, sorry, about 5 of the 9 Canadians that are from our KW league that got their start here, right? So and that's now branching off. Like Dean's now moved on to another league, and it's he's making people in the western part of Ontario better there because he's helping them out, and that's what I think is just making this game so much better, especially up here.
Yeah, agreed.
You know,
The players from all the different locations are what it's gonna to grow from the grassroots, and excited everybody's playing, excited to develop that base up there, and I think it's gonna be a tough country to beat come the Olympics.
oh, exactly, yeah. So another thing I want to touch on to get away from just all the whole players and stuff is, well, it's kind of a bit about players. Is there was a thing this past week or weekend, whatever, about PPR. People's talking about PPR, and for me, I think PPR can be overlooked sometimes because I put a lot of the stats and I equate it to baseball, because baseball's got some of those stats that you're like, how did you even think about this? Like, oh, this guy's going to be great today because it's over 40 degrees on a Tuesday in July, and it's a left-handed pitcher that's got blue eyes, so he's going to be like he's 9 for 10, right? So it's the stats can be just however you want to skew them. That's what they're going to turn out with, right? So I think a lot of people put too much pressure on or emphasis on the PPR because did that guy get a high PPR throwing outside, inside, whatever, right? It can be just whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. So this is one of the phrases that I've been kind of going with for a little bit now, a few months, is that right now, we're going to always expand with stats. So the stats are going to go beyond just what we have currently. But right now, we have 2 main stats in Cornhole. We have PPR and we have DPR. DPR is a differential per round, the average amount that you're scoring against an opponent over a certain period. PPR telling me, on average, how many points am I scoring throughout on average per round. If I'm putting 3 bags in, 1 bag on, I'm getting a 10 for my PPR. So when I look at it that way, I like to say PPR is a better gauge overall for how good someone is over a long period of time. DPR is going to be a better measure at a specific event level if that player was better than everybody else at that given time. Now, what I mean by that is, on average, if someone is throwing a 9.6 PPR across the entire year, I know that that person is an elite player. Now, if someone throws a 9.7 versus a 9.6, I cannot definitively say that 9.6 is better. But if someone is throwing a 9.6 and an 8.6, in general, I can pretty much say that 9.6 player is going to be better, because it's just giving me an average across the season of how many points that person is scoring. Now, when it comes to a differential, that is better for a one-off event. If I know someone is running through the event with a 1.5 DPR, I know that on average through that event, they're outscoring everybody, and they dominated everybody within that specific event. Now, here's where both stats can go haywire. DPR can be bad if someone doesn't consistently play against high-level competition. Okay? If you have a 2.0 DPR but have an 8.0 PPR, that is telling me you are playing people that are not at a high level, and you are abusing people that are not up to your skill. Okay? And so for that matter, and for that reason, I can't put a high value on DPR across an entire season or something like that. Now, DPR is great late in pro tournaments when I'm looking at how someone is scoring on a consistent basis. PPR can be misleading if you have someone that has a defensive game. Okay? If I have someone that has a defensive game, then ultimately, if they're throwing a 9.5 PPR, but they still have a 1.0 DPR, an 8.0 is not a bad round score if you're being defensively limited by what your opponent is doing. So PPR can be misleading. Now, for some people that also want to say DPR, 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 you can't have a high DPR without having somewhat of a high PPR, right? I don't care if you're the most defensive person in the world. The most defensive player in the world should still be scoring a 10 because in theory, you have 3 bags in the hole, you're leaving a blocker in front, and you're still scoring points. So in theory, you can't have a very high DPR without the PPR. Now, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit and let you know we're also exploring a third statistic at the moment. And you're getting kind of insider info here that I haven't said anywhere else. So this is kudos to you. But one thing that we've identified with DPR is I want to ask you this question. If I beat you, which I wouldn't, but if I beat you 21,
we still have to have that game.
If I beat you 21-11 in 10 rounds, okay, or I beat you 21-0 in 21 rounds, which game would you identify as being more of a dominant win?
I'm going to say that the 21-11 in the 10 rounds, just for myself, because I know. Well, because for me, if I can last those extra rounds, hey, I'm happy. But it's just for me because it's almost like, if you really go back to the Dean Lang Ryan Windsor game, 21-1, but I thought that Dean really held his own because he was able to make him go those extra rounds, right? But that's
perfect. This is going to allow me to even have more discussion that you're right about how stats people are going to pick which stats they like best.
Yep.
So what I would say is in both of those scenarios, my DPR would be 1.0. But those, in my mind, are 2 very different games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because they both have the same DPR, and I could arguably say I threw the same PPR across both games. So 2 different games, PPR is the same, DPR is the same. So how do I differentiate the 2? The last stat that I'm kind of thinking up is called a DPG, differential per game, which is essentially just a point differential averaged over a series of games. With the ultimate idea being, if I have someone with a low DPR but a high DPG, that person is beating people badly by large margins, but it's taking them a long time to do it, which means more than likely they're playing a very defensive game. It's block, push, roll, 2 points. Block, push, airmail, 2 points. 2 points, 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. If I beat somebody with a very high DPR but a very low DPG, then I'm probably scoring a lot of points and then giving up a lot of points in a very short period of time. That could mean I'm missing a lot of bags if they're not going in the hole. My opponent is taking advantage of situations when I'm not. I may be just going bag for bag for bag and giving up big points, not playing as defensive of a game, not playing as conservative of a game, if you will. So that third level stat paired with PPR, paired with DPR, I think is really going to shape how we look at statistics, not only within a specific game, but across an entire tournament and possibly across an entire season.
Yeah, because when I look at those 2 scenarios as well, I look at myself being, I'm not a guy who can be an aggressive thrower, trying to go for the hole all the time. I know that I have to make that board dirty. I have to try and put blocks, maybe in different situations, because I also look at, I sit and I play Jamie Cowan, I'll play him like 100 times in a night, and we throw in, if I can make the game last longer, I know I've had a better game, that I'm throwing better, and and I'm not getting that 21-0 quick. I'm able to make those games last longer because I'm throwing a bit better. And luckily for me, my month-long COVID break has allowed me to actually beat him one of the 100 games the other night. So that's a feather in my cap because I've got 1 win already this year. But it's just, that's for me, it's like, because you're going to have those people, like you said, who want to just go for the hole all the time. And then there's the other ones who want to make it dirty, want to make up that, put those block game in, and they're not going to be getting a high point each round.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think just having the three of them is going to tell the full story, right? How did I get here? If someone tells me I have a high PPR, I have a low DPR, and I have a low differential, then that tells me I put a lot of bags in the hole, and my opponent put a lot of bags in the hole, and it took me a long time, and I beat him by a small margin.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a low PPR and maybe even a low DPR, but a high DPG, that tells me I played a defensive game. I didn't score. It took me a while to beat people because I was just nickel and diming them. But I was in the end, I never let them score against me. So it's a different kind of dominating game. I never let my opponent score, but I wasn't scoring 7s and 8s and 6s. I was scoring 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, and I maintained control of the board. And so now we can look at a 21-0 score with those three combo of statistics and be able to tell the story from the stats without necessarily having to watch the game.
That's what I'm looking forward to, because I know you kind of hinted at that at one point on that one when the person asked about the PPR, because and again with that, like you kind of said with that post, I think, or even Josh may have said it, that was after like a couple games of high PPR. And when you go to a big conference tournament, I'm thinking people are going to up their game regardless. So they're going to be having those higher PPRs and just blow me out of the water. But it's just, people are going to step up at big tournaments. So a higher PPR, then I'm just throwing that out the window. It's like people are just playing better.
Yeah. And
yes.
When we talk about using statistics to measure people's skill levels outside of the pro division, it becomes even harder to try to rely on anything except PPR. Because if I went to New Zealand right now, right, and this is no offense to New Zealand, but I would have a 3.0 DPR. And my differential per game would probably be 20, right? But my PPR would still be 6. So if you watched me and you watched me play and I threw my 6 PPR, people would be like, this guy's terrible. Like, why is he, why are we saying he's such a good player? It's because PPR, again, is a better stat to give you a rough estimate to how good somebody is. I cannot look at somebody's DPR and tell you if they're a good player. I can't look at somebody's DPG across an entire season and tell you if they're a good player because I have no idea what they were playing against. Okay? No idea. If you tell me someone's PPR, I can immediately put them in a group. Their floor, their ceiling is here and their floor is here. They're going to be somewhere in that range. Could they be a player that as soon as they have a block in front of them, they fold and their floor is way down here? Yes. Could they be a player that has that PPR even though they play a super defensive game, which means they're absolutely dominating people no matter who they play? Yes. There's a range for each, for someone's PPR that gives them a plus or minus, and that's why. But that's ultimately why we use PPR as a general better stat for just gauging people out of the gate, right? And even people can sometimes get upset. It's like, well, why are you only talking about PPR at the Opens? It's like, well, still, when that guy plays his first game in an Open, his first 2 games may be playing against someone that is not pro caliber. And those 2 games are enough to completely throw off the statistics from a differential perspective. And if you compare that to someone like a Tyler Cobb, who has to grind every game because of the draw he gets, and all of a sudden his statistics aren't impressive, they're completely skewed by the draw you end up getting at these Opens. That's why I personally am not a big fan of having too deep of a conversation about DPR right now until I get to the pro division. And then my tone completely changes. When I get to a national where I only have pros against pros and everybody out on the court is viewed to have a similar skill level, that's when DPR becomes more important and a useful statistics because it's on a much smaller scale, only against top-level talent, and we're only talking tournament to tournament or we're talking just within a single season. So that's when the DPR talk starts to ramp up, and that's why ultimately we've been talking so much about PPR leading up to this point.
Well, I just can't wait to start watching pro stuff and actually see all this stuff. But to wrap things up here, I did take some questions from some of the local people up here. I sent some stuff out this morning, got some stuff back. First question came back like right away from Mike from Moondog. He wants to know if you will be showing less of just that one shot we talked about earlier and the full game at some point. Just putting that on Facebook so he can show that he actually played a full game and not the one shot.
Yeah, as soon as we get the rights to it, we can show the full game. So in general, all of our broadcasts are subjected to a 60-day window that we're not allowed to show that. But as soon as that game is able to, that game goes right up on the ACL Digital Network.
Yeah, that's. I said, just Mike, you just got to calm down. It's just, you know what? He's a fireman. He wants to rush into everything, and it's just whatever. But that, and then his other question was, and I know you can't answer because it's the wrong writer, because I've already asked the question before, and he was just the ACL delivering stuff to Canada with the off their website, and I'm guessing that's going to be coming, especially with us going to be with the ACL Canada ramping up. I know I've already had my issues with that one delivery company. I'm not going to talk about it again, but yeah.
Let's just say there is going to be a large vessel headed to Canada in a very short period of time, containing a lot of cornhole equipment. So stay tuned on that. There's going to be some great stuff coming. We're planning a lot of infrastructure internationally. The three big hubs at the moment are Canada, Europe, and Australia. And that's currently our big focus, because part number one is getting equipment into those places. And that's got to be something that we got to focus on. We have to get equipment. Canada's a little bit, I think, you guys are in a little bit better in a shape than Europe and Australia are. But at the same time, it is important to get equipment into Canada and elsewhere. So that is coming. I don't remember off the top of my head dates, locations, details, but I do know it's coming very soon. Very soon.
Well, I know, and with the Cornhole Supplies Canada, they've really helped getting those other American bag companies up here for sale in Canada, taking care of the whole duty stuff. And I'm starting to see, I'm an Octane guy, but I love seeing, there's a lot of people up here throwing fire, local bags, and more of the all cornhole stuff, even though some people say they aren't, but I know they are because I can see them throw. But it's, and it's just opened up so much more, because I know when we go to tournaments, we set up the table for the Cornhole Supplies Canada, and everyone's just gravitating, and all of a sudden that stock is gone, and it's like it's just so great to see just everyone it's blowing up, which is I really like. So
yeah, I think it's going to be great. The more different manufacturers that we can get out there, and the more options that people have, that's the key. It's just getting people options to be able to do what they want to do. So that's a big priority of ours as well.
And for the other people with the whole buying stuff up here, lay off the ACL shoes. I win when I wear those ACL shoes. So just everyone needs to cut. You don't need those other whatevers. Just wear those ACL 4-bagger shoes.
Oh, the shoes! The shoes are becoming a running joke, and it's fun. It is fun. Hey, I mean,
I like it because when I actually airmail one, I can point to the shoe, the tongue of the shoe, the airmail one, and if I actually, whenever I do, up here we call it stuffing the beaver. When I do put that 4-bagger in, I can point to the heel and say 4-bagger. I know. Again, Jamie Cowan is like, it's become a running joke up here with Jamie Cowan and some of the guys. But it's
I love it.
I can have fun.
Stuffing the beaver. That's a good one.
It's I'm guessing you may hear it a lot in Vegas because it is Jamie Cowan's thing, and forgive me now. I will apologize for all Canadians if he brings Dolores with him, which is a little stuffed beaver in an Octane jersey. It's almost like a dog squeaky toy, and whenever he gets his 4-bagger, Dolores comes out. So I will apologize for all Canadians now for that if you have to hear that.
Love it. I love it.
So yeah, and then the last question, and it was the big one, and I was like, relax, it could be coming. Just relax. Is when are we going to get a big tournament up here? And I know that I've asked you. I think could be the seventh time I've asked you probably.
Yep.
And it's like, you know what? You just got to relax. It's a slow process. Just relax.
So if I release the details, then someone on the ACL staff would be very upset with me. But let's just say you shouldn't do anything at the end of, say, maybe April. Maybe you should keep that weekend clear. Maybe you should not plan to go anywhere that weekend.
Okay.
Because we may or may not be trying to do something in Canada at that point. We may or may not have had a contract on our desk. So there's
Okay. So
let's just say we're rolling, and the information is going to come very soon. It's not going to be much more waiting on this end.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a lot better than usual. You know, we're looking at next year. That's not long away. So that's better than just a thing.
The ACL wants to do 3 international broadcasted events this year. So Canada is on our list, Europe is on our list, and Australia. Again, I keep hitting those 3 big hot buttons, but that's kind of the 3 big expansion points that we have right now that we're focusing on.
Well, you know, and Australia is really going, because I'm not sure if you're aware, but right now we have a virtual tournament going on. There's 8 Canadians against 8 Australians. I think Canada's up right now 18-6 in games, so there's 2 rounds left to go. But even that, you talk about the PPR and stuff. When you look at those there, they started off really big with Canada, like, you know, because Canada's been playing a little bit longer than the Australians that are in there, but those scores, those Decron scores are they're getting a little closer, and it's, you know, and that's
too close for comfort.
Well, you know, but that's what you want to see. But then, you know, at the start, I'd seen some of the Canadian people who may have said something before at the end of last year. You're getting a little excited, and it's like, well, hey, wait a second here now. You were upset before. Shoes on the ACL shoe is now on the other foot. So yeah, but it's, you know, it's fun. Right? You know what? It's the trash talk. It's fun. Whatever. Just go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just excited to see, you know, Canada, Australia, and Europe, all 3 of them. Excited to see if who's got the top talent this year in 2022.
So then, with the other thing that you kind of mentioned that didn't really mention, does that mean that the challenge can finally happen? Will you be coming here?
That's the plan, unless someone tells me different.
So we may just get to see who the worst one is.
That's true. A lot on the line here. A lot on the line.
Okay, I want to thank you for coming on, talking here, with finally getting that first show back, and you know, like, you've always been a great friend of the show. Every time I've said, you know what, can you come on and talk about something, you're always like, yeah, let's do it. So, you know, thanks for that, and just I'm really hoping that we can get some great stuff going here in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Can't wait until we get that Canada event going. I think it's gonna be a ton of fun, and we'll have to throw it down.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, I have to try and take a week off work because I don't know what date it's going to be. So it's it's all good. Okay, again, thanks for doing this here, and we'll be talking soon.
Thanks, Doug.
And how's that for Mr. Trey Ryder, giving a little sneak peek on what could be happening? Wow, that's kind of mind blowing. Every year it's been coming next year. Now, possibly, we gotta wait. So we know who we're waiting for. Todd, I know you watch the show. How about coming on and talk? We can talk about it. But yeah. So again, thanks for Trey coming on, doing that there. I know he was busy because we talked back in December. I'm not sure if I had COVID then, but we talked, and he said, talk to me again in January, because that's before he's got his little bit of a break before Shelby doesn't see him at home. He has to go to tournaments to see him because he's never there. So again, thanks Trey for coming on, and Show's not done. Show's not done. Here it is, coming up now. A little get to know a new ACL Pro. Wow, ACL Canada Pro. Here's the boss, Berny Portolesi. And as promised, we have the newest ACL Pro from Canada, the winner of the qualifying tournament at our last Central. Oh, these names just get me caught up all the time. Central Conference tournament that we had in St. Catharines, your hometown, Bernie.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
yeah,
Good to see you, Doug.
yeah. So Bernie, I'm getting it right. Portolesi.
Portolesi.
Okay. Well, and I know you took some stuff from me calling you the robot on the on the broadcast, but
Yeah.
because you were kind of going in, but after rewatching that, you were more of a boss on those boards. So I'm thinking that it should be Bernie the boss. Portolesi.
Okay. I'll take that. It's a little more complimentary than robot.
But hey, so we'll kind of jump into kind of like your background in cornhole. You really haven't been around it that much because, like we were talking off air, that I just played your first competitive tournament, just like not even a month before the pro qualifier.
Yeah, that's correct. A real cool gentleman, Brad Billard, who you know, approached me at a social club and asked me to join his Southern Ontario Cornhole Series team, and asked me if I'd like to start playing competitively. And he basically accompanied me to the first tournament in November up in Brampton. I think was put on by CornDoug. It was an excellent event, and I was very fortunate in my first event to win the singles title that day.
Yeah, and then you get the singles because I believe it was competitive singles that you were in.
Correct.
And then fast forward, then like that month, it was like you almost had no time in between. Go to the Central Conference event, and then you and partner Steve Hensby, you guys take down the doubles in the competitive division.
We did. We ended up meeting up again in the competitive singles title as well, where I had to double dip Steve, something he's probably very familiar with. But aside from that, again, I was fortunate at the St. Catharines event in winning the singles title, and then immediately after the singles competitive title, I approached Matt from Octane, and we started discussing the pro qualifier as it started a couple hours after that.
Yeah, and then I think that was the best thing about that is because you got your win there, you went into that pro qualifier, and then you didn't stop. It was like I was kind of watching the scores, and Brad would kind of give me a point every once in a while of what was going on, and you were just mowing some guys down.
Well, again, I was very fortunate. I ran into some incredibly talented players there. I played the amazing Dean Lang. Had an opportunity to play the incredible Brandon Brown. Just awesome players, Paul Aiken, and again, I was fortunate and to come out on top in the end and won the qualifying bracket, and then went into the playoffs and ended up sweeping that up as well. I believe I met Jamie Cohen. Awesome guy in the finals, and I was lucky enough to take the title as well.
Well, I know it had to have been a long day for you because I sat in that chair for 10 hours talking, 6 of it being for the pro qualifier, but it's just that grind that is. And I think that's what's going to probably prepare you for, because I know you're heading to Vegas here in a couple weeks.
Yes, looking forward to the first national event this year, and very excited for my first ACL event over stateside. But yes, going back to what you said, that day is a grind, and I think it's meant to. It's meant to show you a little bit of the intensity that you need to stay at that peak level to play against such talented players and stay consistent through each game. You really can't have 2 bad boards in a row. and you'll find yourself on the losing end real quickly. Playing consistently throughout the day against top talent really does wear you down a bit. I slept pretty good the next day.
Well, and I know, COVID is kind of right after that. COVID kind of shut.
Yeah,
it shut me down pretty good for a month, but it kind of shut all the time because with you being in St. Catharines, you've got the chance to be able to cross that border, being just a short drive over to Buffalo, and a whole bunch of leagues and stuff going on over there.
Yeah, love it. I had the opportunity before the restrictions kind of held us back a little bit here at the border, but I did dart over several times. There is some incredible talent just 15 minutes away from the border, whether we head to Tonawanda to play Bearded Titans with Josh up there. That's a incredible establishment there that he has going on. And, of course, Buffalo Cornhole Club again.
Oh, exactly, yeah. And for anyone, and I'm going to say for anyone, if they want to go back and check out YouTube, I believe on the KW Cornhole YouTube channel here, we have they have the full broadcast of the pro qualifier, which to watch you just throwing some incredible stuff. But
thank you.
Just with that, now I'm just the COVID brain is still right here. I know, and I know that the question will come back, but
it's all right.
But just for the people that are now just getting, which is most of the people just getting to know who Bernie is, just your background in what you've done before coming to Cornhole.
I'm born and raised in Niagara, small town, Port Colborne. I live here in St. Catharines with my two sons and my lovely wife, who tolerates a bit of my craziness and supports me wholeheartedly in all of my adventures. And there has been some adventures. I like, let's say, exciting and craziness. I like scuba diving, skydiving, extreme mountain biking, things like that. I'm ultra competitive, which is why I really, really enjoy Cornhole, the one-on-one atmosphere. And when you play top talent, it really pushes you, not only to play your best, but to learn from the guy you're throwing with. With each throw that he makes, you're learning and you're changing your strategy and your gameplay. So it's not just simply throwing 4 bags down the center. There's a lot of strategy to it that a lot of people, I think, aren't aware of, and myself, I'm learning from. So, yep, played all the good Canadian sports, ice hockey, everything, you name it. Competed in CrossFit, did Tough Mudder events, boxing. Again, sort of the extreme stuff.
Which now people know that if when they go on the boards, they're going to take you on big time, right? But and like as I was saying there with you on the boards, we know, and I'm really going to say for people, if you see Bernie there, especially in Vegas or any of the big tournaments, you were just fun to be able to watch play, because the way you were able to kind of talk yourself into some shots, maybe talk yourself out of not so much taking some of the shots that you took, but just you're vocal on the board, which I think is kind of fun. And you're not, if you do happen to throw a wrong bag or whatever, you're not the guy to be there just kind of throwing the F-bombs like some people. You're just you'll make fun of yourself, and it's just fun.
Oh yeah, you have to enjoy it. You really have to enjoy the game itself. I notice a lot of players, they wear the headphones, the earbuds, and they tune everything out to concentrate on their focus, if you will. They listen to Sinead O'Connor or whatever garbage they listen to. I don't understand how they do that. I think that takes away a little bit from the game. To hear the crowd, to hear the people cheering you when you make that amazing shot, or that ooh amongst all the spectators watching it. I think that's part of the allure of the game. I can't imagine playing any other sport like a hockey or something and tuning it out and not allowing the fans to rev you up and to cheer you on and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to wish you best of luck in Vegas, because you're going to come back on here after Vegas with an update on how you did. And luckily, you're not having Steve come down with you, because we know that that
No,
he can't count points because he failed English, right?
he
So
failed
it's
English. Yeah, don't ask him to keep score. He
yeah,
failed English.
yeah. So, but no, again, I want to thank you for coming on and doing this here. And that is the Bernie, that laugh. If you like, go back and look at the video, people. Bernie's there just having fun, and it's a great time. I know that you're going to have some fun down in Vegas. I know I just kind of pumped you up with Trey there a bit too,
Awesome.
but it's just go on
I
and have
appreciate
fun,
it.
and we will see you back here after Vegas.
Thanks, Doug. You take care. Hope to see you
Okay, for
soon,
sure.
buddy.
Okay, that's it for the show this week. I think thanking Bernie for coming on, talking. I know we talked a bit off air again, and he was just over the moon at some of the stuff that's what's going on. Where he's been people messaging him about becoming an ACL Canada or ACL International Pro, which you all know the ACL people are involved there are just such great people. Yeah, so that's that. So that I did mention it off the top. Canada Australia going on right now. I believe we have 2 rounds left to go. 1 round, 2 rounds. Right now, score is last I checked was 23-8, which those numbers don't match up. But we have one game that ended up in a tie. We need to go to a tiebreaker. So Canada's up 23-8 in games. But those scores, like I did say with Trey, they're coming down. Like I thought I'd seen somewhere where the per game the point differential, which I believe is that last one that Trey was talking about, went from a 1.01 to now it's a 0.91. So it's those scores are getting closer per end of throwing, right? They are just throwing deck rounds, but it's still those Australians, those scores are creeping up there. So, which is fantastic to see. So, kudos to Daniel Turner. You got to see him on a show. Look back, a show kind of a little while ago, but had them on talking. So great to see them and the stuff that they're doing there. The other growth of ACL Canada. Gotta welcome George Vargas, Baseline Cornhole, newest ACL Canada director, as well as a guy I got to meet in Peterborough at their regional back in November, October, December. The Ugly Sweater Tournament. Got to meet Connor from the Lanark County Cornhole. They are now an ACL Canada league, and I know a lot of people there are pumped. Talking about you, Aline. I'm talking about you. So that's that. Is there anything else to say about the show? Nothing. We will talk a little Kentucky action next week. Some great guests lined up. I'm going to say we've got a couple guests coming up that are not just cornhole. They're professional athletes in other sports. They just happen to play cornhole. We'll switch things up. We'll have some fun. But as always, you got to just grip it and rip it. And watch out for those players throwing gas because they might, they might just kick your ass.